This is why you should never sleep next to your phone. In 2019, a girl fell asleep listening to her favorite music on her phone. As most people do, she had her phone plugged into the outlet next to her bed. The next morning, the parents walked in and discovered that the phone that was next to her head had exploded.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. Let me break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video drop. Really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers, man. Say it with me, y'all. I seek the truth.
If you see this on the beach, you need to take your shoes off and run. Fast. I'm not kidding, this could save your life one day, so make sure you stay till the end of this video. If you're walking on the beach and you come across something that looks like this, you're in extreme danger. But before I tell you why, I found a way that you can prank your friends and spam text them at maximum speed. If you want to prank your friends, just click the link in the comments. This thing is called the lion's mane jellyfish. And these things can be up to 120 feet long. And you do not want to get stung by one of these, so make sure you warn your friends. 43 monkeys have escaped from a biolab research center in South Carolina, and authorities are urging residents to keep their doors and windows securely closed. We really about to have Planet of the Apes. Before it said that their escape was due to human error, with a member of staff failing to lock the doors behind them. And if you were worried, we're about to have Caesar 2.0. Luckily, none of these monkeys have been used in lab testing, and they are too young to carry diseases. Only real problem is that they're freaking hard to catch, because when you chase them, they just scatter. And catching all 43 is gonna take a while. More expectations.
Planet of the Apes, bro, part 2. How could somebody on the job, man, not lock up after they was done with them, bro? Now they all scattered all around, bro. Imagine chasing some monkeys around, bro. In South Carolina, too? That's crazy. Hey, man, we gotta be on the lookout, bro. If we see anything, bro, resembling Planet of the Apes, it's gonna start in South Carolina, bro. Confirmed.
Here's how this man became the best personal trainer in the world. His name is JJ Peterson, and he's always been at the forefront of fitness in the media, and he's a great gymnast and athlete. When he decided to help this man lose weight, he had no idea how challenging it would be and how it would change his life forever. The first time JJ met Ray Stewart, he explained exactly what he was going to do. He wanted to go on the journey of losing weight with him, so he made the decision to gain 60 pounds. Ray was at the weight of over 360 pounds, and JJ wanted to know what it would be like to lose the weight with him. So JJ started eating everything unhealthy in sight, like candy, soda, and pizza. After a bit of time, JJ gained 60 pounds and was now stressed physically and emotionally. And what happened next will completely shock you, so hit the plus for part 2.
Hey, man, we gotta find part 2 to that amazing journey, bro. He did that to himself, man, and to go on that finish journey to get shredded again. You see why he's one of the best personal trainers out there. That's an edit, seekers. We call it like we see it, man.
Gruesome torture methods that you'll be glad you weren't around for. Part 1. The brazen bull execution was a method used in ancient Greece where a flame at the bottom roasted you to death, and the head of the bull was designed in such a way that your screams would be filtered and contorted into the sounds of a real bull. On pirate ships, workers who refused to follow orders would be hung by their nails. Another method used by pirates was called keel hauling, in which the men were dragged under the ship until they died. And if this wasn't bad enough, the ship's hull was covered in barnacles so the man would be cut up as he drowned. Scaphism was an ancient Persian torture technique where criminals were stripped naked, tied to a boat, and then force-fed honey and milk until they got diarrhea, were covered in more honey, and set adrift in the ocean. This would then attract insects that would slowly but surely eat the men to death.
That's the worst one, man. Getting eaten by insects, bro? That's like that slow burn, having to go through all that. No, not for me, man.
Here's what angels actually look like according to the Bible. They're quite terrifying. Many people think that angels just look like this, a human with wings, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. According to the Bible, they actually looked quite horrifying, like I'm about to show you, and it's going to make sense why angels said, "Do not be afraid" when they appeared to humans.
Real angel forms?
And I can't tell what it is.
Brother, you're about to die. I'm just kidding, it's a fisher cat, which isn't actually a cat, and apparently they don't even fish because the naming guy had a stinker. Like the guy that named a not an eel, or a not a shrimp, and this not a badger but a honey badger. Speaking of honey badger, they pull up to the same family reunion, and as a mustelid, they're also related to otters and weasels. The fisher cat, not to be confused with the fishing cat, that's also real, is basically a travel-sized Wolverine. And don't let the pharaoh fool you, they've been known to run fades with lynxes. And win. It's also proven that they'll pass tense a porcupine and live to do it again. And yeah, they're a lot bigger than I thought they were. This is what one about it catch a body looks like. Brother, my guy, you are getting hunted. I'm just kidding again. He's just being curious. Say that, cuz if he was really on timing, you would not be seeing him. Might hear him though. If you've ever been in the woods and heard the sounds of a woman getting escorted off the census, chances are you just heard a fisher family. Or at least that's what I thought. Apparently fishers don't make that much noise in general, and the scream thing is probably a myth. And the more I know. Another myth is that they snatch children. While I'm sure someone in the history of mankind's gotten folded by a featherweight Wolverine, they usually avoid people, so you probably did something to deserve it. So yeah, the cameraman's in no danger, and that's not a fisher or a cat, but it's somehow both. But if the fisher's not a screamer, what is this?
It's an awful sound.
This boy was bullied every
Skinwalker.
day for his rabbit teeth, then he did something unbelievable. Evan Hill is a normal 10-year-old boy in New Zealand, except for one thing. He had giant front teeth. Evan got made fun of for his rabbit teeth every single day, so he hated going to school. But then his story went viral on social media, and finally he got enough money to get his 2 front teeth fixed. So he spent 2 hours at the dentist finally getting his teeth fixed. And here's what he looks like after the procedure. When he went to school the next day, he had a big smile on his face, and he got an apology from all of his bullies.
This is why you should...
He only just had to change his appearance for that to happen, man. Kids nowadays, bro. Just everybody's freaking just cruel, man. The store and viral used that money to, I guess, to fix his appearance. That's his personal pain, but kids should never. You should never bully somebody off of their looks, bro. It's like they can't help it, man. They were born with it. What do you want them to do? The world needs more freaking kindness and compassion.
Always lock your doors. A junior in high school was home alone working on a paper while his parents were out to dinner. All night he sits with his back to his door, sitting at his desk with his noise-canceling headphones on. Around 11 o'clock, he takes his headphones off at the same time his parents are returning to the house, and he hears his mom from downstairs yell, "Hey Adrian, what happened?" Confused, he runs downstairs and sees right away what she's looking at. Muddy footprints all over the rug. He tells her, "I didn't leave my desk." And then they realize someone must have broken in. They look at the footprints and there's none leaving the house. They're worried someone's still in the house. They run into the garage, terrified, call the police. Police arrive and they don't find anyone in the house, but they do make a chilling discovery upstairs. The police bring them to the kid's bedroom door, which had been left open all night, and they point to the message written on it in Sharpie. This is the actual transcript of what was written on his door, which means for nearly 2 hours, someone stood in this kid's doorway watching him. This is why you should never sleep next to your phone. In 2019, a girl fell asleep listening to her favorite music on her phone. As most people do, she had her phone plugged into the outlet next to her bed. The next morning, the parents walked in and discovered that the phone that was next to her head had exploded. Before I tell you what happened to her, I found a way to finish your math homework in seconds. Just scan the math problem and it'll give you a solution along with an explanation. Press the button on my profile to try it. She was immediately rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately passed away due to her injury.
Man, you know how many people have their freaking phones at their bedside at night? I'm switching that up. See, because I don't want that to happen to me. That's crazy. Did it like overheat? It had to. No more phone at the bedside of mine. At the side of me tonight, bro.
Terrifying last words people said right before passing away. A nurse working at the Alzheimer's and Dementia unit in a hospital said this experience really got to her. One of her favorite patients' conditions was getting worse, so she started checking on him more often. They'd always joke around with each other, but in the last weeks of this patient's life, he stopped talking completely and would barely acknowledge anyone speaking to him. Until one night, this nurse went into his room and said she was going home for the day, but she'll see him tomorrow. That's when he looked directly into her eyes, smiled, and said, "You look like an angel." At that point, he hadn't been lucid in weeks, and unfortunately, he passed away the next morning.
Believe it or not, this is a well-documented, true story. In 1947, an American ship picked up a horrifying distress signal coming from an unidentified vessel. The first transmission was all officers, including the captain, are dead. The next transmission was the whole crew is dead. The last transmission was I die, and then silence. The Americans traced the signal back to a ship that's drifting off in the middle of the Indian Ocean. They quickly assemble a rescue team who boards the ship. They find the entire crew has perished in the exact same position. They are on their backs with their hands up as if fighting with some unseen force, and they look like this. There was no physical damage to the bodies or to the ship itself. However, even though it was 100 degrees outside, it was 40 degrees on the ship, and the bodies were rapidly decomposing. As soon as they tie up the ship to tow it in, it explodes, and then it sinks. To this day, no one knows what happened inside of that ship. Some say it was a chemical leak, others aren't so sure.
Is that like a otherworldly force?
Here's how rare your body actually is. First off, 10% of people can touch their nose with their tongue, including me. Next, only 2% of people worldwide actually have natural blonde hair. And red hair is just as rare, with again only 2% of people actually having it. Only about 1% of people are ambidextrous. This means that you're not right-handed or left-handed. You can write with both hands just as easily. Next, only 10% of people have something called Darwin's tubercle. A little ridge on your ear, and people who have it actually say that they have a better sense of voice tonality. 5% of people have tied tongue, but from what I've seen, I thought it was a lot more common. Next is outie belly button, and only 4% of the population actually has this. And finally, only 6% of people have a butt or cleft chin. And make sure you follow for more.
Did any of you seekers have any of those special features, bro? I think I have the tied tongue, bro, but I can't. That's it, man. I can't freaking lick my nose with my tongue. None of that. If you do, you have a rare skill set.
A city councilman caught asleep behind the wheel with a crack pipe in his hand. This is in Rhode Island. A concerned passerby saw him and called police. Even officers seemed shocked by what they found.
You're a councilman in Cranston, smoking crack.
The man you just saw in that video, city councilman from Rhode Island, Matthew Riley, is not a good person. So, as you just saw in that footage, Matthew was found passed out in his car with a crack pipe in his lap, and it turned out that inside of that pipe was cocaine laced with fentanyl. And this video was recorded and he was arrested while he was an active city councilman. But just a month after that arrest, Matthew Riley was arrested again and charged with the molestation of a 12-year-old girl. Now, this was all back in 2023, and it would take about a year for more developments to come, but in June of 2024, he was indicted on multiple child molestation counts. I'm just going to read you what he was indicted on. 2 counts of first-degree child molestation, 2 counts of second-degree child molestation, 1 count of enticement of a minor child to engage in sexual conduct, and 1 count of simple assault. And all of these crimes were said to occur in the town of Cranston, where he was serving as a city council member on May 7th, 2023. I don't have any real updates as to what happened here since this all went down in June of this year, but I think it's safe to say that this guy should be nowhere near a position of power in the government, let alone anywhere near a child. If you want to join me on my journey exposing government corruption, listen to my new podcast, The Conspiracy Files. You can listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or you can watch the video format on YouTube with photos and videos and everything.
Why is people in the government, man, always corrupt? It can never just be pure. There's always has to be somebody who's doing something they're not supposed to be doing. Imagine a world with a pure government serving the people. I mean, in our dreams, right?
Animals with Down syndrome.
Hello, my friend. That tiger doesn't have Down syndrome. It's suffering from birth defects due to inbreeding. As most of you know, tigers aren't usually white. This is a very rare mutation. There are no white tigers left in the wild, and a few hundred left in captivity. But here's where things get a little strange. All white tigers in captivity held in the United States descend from a single white tiger that was brought over to the country a few decades ago. And so all white tigers in the United States today are the result of intense inbreeding, which is why Kenny over here looks a little strange. So again, Kenny doesn't really have Down syndrome. He's just suffering from birth defects due to inbreeding.
That's crazy, man. Need to bring in some more
Now,
white
don't get tired of me
tigers.
saying this, but this is aura in its purest form. So the story goes, a couple was living in the Chumkatska Peninsula. Remind me to tell you why that's important later, when their husky ran away from home. And after a few hours of searching, they fired up a drone to find him. Oh, they did. They found him, traveling with 3 bears. There's a lot to unpack here. Bears don't live in packs. That means this husky pulled up on a mother and her cubs and didn't get sent to dog backwards. So you can tell they're barely tolerating him. Whole time the dog's having the time of his life. Hold on, what does this remind you of? I'll give you a hint. I'm making waffles. Now back to Kamchatka. Not only does it have the highest density of brown bears on the planet, because they get a fresh supply of salmon from the peninsula, it's a brolic boulder beast that can little bro a grizzly. That's who this husky decided to shack up with. I just know the mom said ignore him and he'll go away. Now the whole family's in silence because she won't admit she was wrong. There's no report that the couple got their dog back, but I don't think that's not their dog no more. That's not even the first time. A farmer lost one of his cows, and for 2 months straight she was unaccounted for. Until 2 months later, she was caught posted up with a herd of wild bison. I could make a joke right now, but guidelines won't like it, so hopefully the comments do it for me. In 2016, scientists discovered that a pod of beluga whales had adopted a single lone narwhal. For reference, narwhals are socially anxious people, shy introverts that could literally get past tense by a panic attack. Life finds a way, the more you know.
These are the countries with the longest school days, and you won't believe how long the last one is. Australia's school days are around 6.5 hours long, which isn't too bad, but they have a lot of poisonous animals, so I'm not moving there. France has 8-hour-long school days. That's too long for me. I'd rather walk up and down the Eiffel Tower. South Korea, on the other hand, has 8.5-hour-long school days, which is pretty brutal, but not in comparison to the last one. Kenya goes to school for 9 hours a day. Damn. I honestly don't know if I could handle 9 hours. I couldn't even handle 30 minutes. My attention span's the size of a peanut. Now, China's the absolute worst for school. They go to school for 10 hours a day. Let me know in the comments how long you went to school for.
What happens?
Not 10 hours, bro. What the heck? Man, imagine if kids in the U.S. went to school for 10 hours, bro. I wonder what effect that would have on, you know, our grades and stuff going forward, on our knowledge base.
After death in different religions. To begin this series, let's look at Buddhism. In Buddhism, when an individual loses their life, they shall be sent to one of the 6 realms of reincarnation. The realm of gods, the realm of humans, the realm of the demigods, the realm of the animals, the realm of the hungry ghosts, and the realm of hell. And yes, if you're a Naruto fan, you probably just realized what these guys were actually representing. Your time in these realms is always temporary, and it is dependent on the karma you accumulated in your past lives. This endless cycle of reincarnation is seen as nothing more than suffering in Buddhism, as the ultimate goal is to break this suffering and reach enlightenment.
So what did the pains represent? Reincarnation? I'm an Naruto fan, so I just wanted to know if he could represent it. Buddhism, okay. 6 different realms in the afterlife. Alright. We learning. I'm just like you guys, seekers. Learn something new every single day.
This mother poisoned her daughter's classmate after he got a higher grade than her. In September of 2022, a 42-year-old woman named Jay Sahai Irani Victoria was living with her daughter in Puducherry, India. Her daughter, known as Kay, was an 8th-grade student at a local school in Coyote. There was no denying that Kay was academically gifted, but no matter how hard she tried, there was one particular classmate who always did better than her. That classmate was 13-year-old Bala Mani Gandhi. Not only did he get perfect scores in his exams, but he also excelled in everything that he did. Over time, Jay Sahai Irani grew resentful towards Bala because of how much better he was than her daughter, and in her eyes she felt like he was the only person in the way of her daughter becoming the best. Because of this, she felt like something had to be done. On September 2nd, the school that Kay and Bala attended, they were going to have a special event celebration, and and Bala was supposed to perform in the cultural events of that celebration. Rani was also at the school, but instead of joining in on the festivities, she had an evil plan. That day when she was at the school, she went up to a security guard, lying to him, saying that she was Bala's mother, and she handed him a couple of bottles of soft drinks and asked him to give it to Bala when he saw him. But little did he know that those drinks would be laced with a deadly poison. Soon after Bala had consumed those drinks, he started to vomit, and when he was heading home, he just got worse. His parents rushed him to a private hospital where he received treatment. He ended up going home after that, but then the next day he got ill again. This time he was admitted to the government general hospital, and unfortunately he passed away. Before Bala had passed away, he told his mother that he think he had gotten sick from those soft drinks that were given to him from her. She immediately grew suspicious, filed a complaint with the police, and suspected foul play. Police returned to the school and obtained CCTV footage, and as they were reviewing that footage, they could see the person that handed those drinks over was Rani. Police took her in for questioning, and she gave a full confession. She stated that she was jealous because he was doing better than her daughter, and she didn't mean to take his life, she just wanted to scare him. Rani was immediately arrested, and while all that was happening, Bala's family was waiting on an autopsy report to see what was exactly in those drinks. Just days after the case started to get a lot of attention, Rani's home was vandalized and broken into. Eventually, Bala's autopsy result came in, and it was revealed that he had rat poison in his system. Currently, Rani is still in prison, and there is no update on the case, whether how long or what charges she is going to get.
Now, if you want to hear a scary myth,
That's a
this is one
shame.
that actually turned out to be true. This was like way back in the day, but there was this infamous funhouse called Laugh in the Dark. Like any other kind of funhouse ride attraction that you would go through, it's supposed to scare you. And the whole thing about it was that it was filled with these creepy mannequins, but there was one mannequin that stuck out to everybody. All this time went by with kids who would go up to this mannequin and something seemed off about it because it was so oddly lifelike. Of course, strange mannequins aside, somebody was going to make a buck off this place. So there was a day when a film crew came in because they were going to shoot a movie. With all these mannequins and everything kind of lying around, they had to move things from one place to another. So the director said, can you pull that mannequin and put it to the side? Wait for the arm of the mannequin to snap off and reveal human bone. The entire time that kids and the public had been suspecting there was something off with that mannequin, they were right. It was a real human body being used in the funhouse.
This is a true horrifying story that took place in Ar'ar, Saudi Arabia. This story has also been aired on TV by a couple of imams confirming it. I will add the video source in the comments. A Saudi Arabian man from Ar'ar has 4 brothers. All 4 brothers are married except him. People always ask him, why didn't you get married yet? And he always gets aggressive when someone asks him about marriage. He hates it. He doesn't want to get married. So people knew this man is not someone you should speak about marriage with. A few weeks later, this man was invited to a wedding. In most Muslim countries, weddings separate men and women. The men's wedding was held at a farmland somewhere deep in the desert. As he was driving alone at night to the wedding, he heard a woman screaming, "Please don't leave me, please help." He panicked and quickly turned on Quran in the car. Every time he hears the woman screaming, he would look outside and see a wolf. The screams wouldn't stop, and every time there was a scream, the same wolf would appear. He eventually made it to the wedding, and then he told a couple of people what happened to him on the way there. On the next day, he tells his good friend what happened. They both hop in the car in daylight and they go look for that woman. For hours, they were looking. They found traces from the wolf, but they didn't find anything else. A week later, this man went to a majlis, and he announces that he is convinced to get married for some reason. And everyone there was shocked. You, out of all people, want to get married all of a sudden. Something is not right. He had enough. He decided to go to a sheikh, and he tells him the full story. I hated marriage. I always got aggressive when someone brought it up. One day, when I drove to a wedding at night, I heard a woman screaming for help, but all I saw was a wolf. And then a few days later, I was convinced with getting an arranged marriage. Please explain what is happening to me. The sheikh laughs and tells him, you were attached by an admirer, a jinn that was emotionally attached to you. She made you hate getting married. The night you drove in the desert, she was following you. She tried to possess you, but she couldn't. And that wolf you saw killed the jinn. Jinns are known to be afraid of wolves because a wolf is the only animal that can take a jinn's life. And when you heard a woman scream, It was the jinn getting attacked. And now, you are no longer against marriage, because the curse you had was killed by a wolf.
Oh, I didn't know. I guess wolves were defenses. How animals see the world. Interesting. Multivision.
These are just horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Being buried alive accidentally occurred so often that people invented safety coffins. In the Middle Ages, people used to eat mummies for medical purposes. It's the main reason we don't have a lot of mummies left today. In the United States, there are more vacant homes than homeless people. Did you know that the actress Glenn Close was raised in a cult? The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland used to have real skeletons as props. In 1976, a TV crew realized one of the hanging bodies in the Laugh in the Dark ride was indeed a real body by accidentally breaking it. Women in the 18th century used lead as makeup. This is the first chainsaw. It was invented by 2 Scottish doctors. And, it was invented for childbirth. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 4.
The hell? That's what the chainsaw was invented for?
You might not think it, but this is the deadliest cat on the planet. It's called the African black-footed cat, and it stands at just 8 to 10 inches tall, weighs between 2 and 4 pounds, which is roughly 200 times less than your typical lion. But don't be fooled, because this thing is deadly. It captures more prey in one single night than a leopard does in 6 months. They can walk up to 20 miles a night in search of prey, and have an accelerated metabolism which makes them hunt almost non-stop. For perspective, lions succeed in catching their prey roughly 20 to 25% of the time. This little bastard has a success rate of a whopping 60%. That is the highest hit rate of any wild cat, making it the deadliest on Earth.
But it's so small, man. I guess it goes to show you size don't
Every
matter.
animals you're glad that are extinct. This is the Gigantopithecus, measured to be 10 feet tall, and its teeth were named dragon teeth. The saber-toothed tiger had teeth that could grow over 8 inches, and the tigers themselves could weigh over 400 kilograms. And finally, the megalodon was a monster that roamed the sea. It's known as the biggest fish to ever live, and its diet would consist of dolphins, seals, and whales.
Hey, boy, that megalodon, every single time I see a picture of it, man, just shocks me to see that a creature like that actually existed in our world, man. Imagine if the megalodon was alive today, bro. I don't think nobody could go on the seas, man. Everybody would just be terrified. Yeah. Extinct, man.
So this man over here decided to transition into a woman so that he can avoid going to a man's prison. If for some reason you don't think this is messed up, I don't know what to tell you. In 2016 and 2019, a 31-year-old Adam Graham, who was first a man, attacked and arred 2 women. Adam claimed to have gender issues since the age of 4, but he only started transitioning in 2020 after he was charged. He changed his name from Adam to Isla, and now he's serving time in a women's prison in Scotland. So you're telling me that a man who was charged and found guilty of the RAPE of 2 women was put in a facility filled with women? To me, it's just alarming how no one thought that this would be a safety concern for a woman, especially because of what he was charged with. Someone make it make sense.
No words for that one, Seekers. Y'all comment down below. Edit.
What every country in the world exports the most of? Hot 1. United States, aircraft. Germany, drugs. Switzerland, blood. Brazil, coffee. China, computers.
Things humans were never meant to see. Okay, firstly, we've all seen alligators poke their head out of water, and it's pretty terrifying when they do this. However, this is what their body looks like underneath the water. And this honestly makes alligators seem a lot less scary. This is what water looks like on fire. How is this even possible? Okay, next, in World War II, the US made inflatable tanks that were used as decoys in the war. This is genius. We were not meant to see this. This man threw boiling water off his balcony, and it instantly turned to snow. And this is a super rare sheepfish. It's a snail that has the head of a sheep and the body of a plant.
Sheepfish, that's the first time I've ever seen something like that, man.
Can you imagine entering
Expanding
a
our
home for a
knowledge.
showing and finding the homeowners dead? Well, that's exactly what happened to billionaire Honey and Barry Sherman. This December is going to be 7 years since their gruesome unaliving, and police still don't have any idea who did this. What's crazy is that they were found by their realtor with their clients inside their Toronto mansion with their necks tied with belts beside their pool. Barry Sherman was the founder of Apotex, one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world. The way Barry and his wife exited this world was very cruel, and a lot of people actually think that their son had something to do with this. There's a handful of suspicious people in this case, but many think that it was their son because this person was very close to them and knew the ins and outs of their mansion very, very well. Their kids actually inherited around $3 billion each, which is crazy. I feel like this case has not been talked about the way it should be, and considering how much they did for the community and all the donations that they've contributed to, is wild. Since this case has been open for several years and there's been no new evidence or suspects, people think that the government has something to do with their deaths. And not to mention, their mansion, aka the crime scene, was demolished immediately at the request of their own kids. That's not suspicious at all. Also, this case happened 10 minutes from where I live, so that's crazy. But if you guys want to check it out and learn more about this case and the new details and the new updates, make sure to check out my video on my YouTube channel.
Probably this.
That's a weird one.
51. Look. So this is 50. This is it. And you nobody knows, but it's for sale.
This is a creepy story about how...
Like, why would the kids demolish the house where it took place at? It's a lot of theories. They said the government, it could be the kids. They all got $3 billion each. It's a lot of damn money. That's an iffy one.
Help me. A teenage girl named Kathy was babysitting 2 kids. There was a 7-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. Their parents went out to see a movie and they wouldn't be home till late. Around 9 o'clock that night, the phone rang. Kathy answered the phone and heard a creepy voice saying, "Help me, for heaven's sake, help me." She immediately hung up and thought it was a prank. Then 30 minutes later, the phone rang again with the same voice saying, "Help me, somebody please help me." This time Kathy got scared. The children asked who it was, but she told them not to worry, it was fine. Another 30 minutes went by, and the phone rang one more time. The voice sounded scared and desperate this time, saying, "Help me, for heaven's sake, will somebody help me?" Then the phone went dead. Then seconds later, there was a knock at the front door, and she heard the same voice saying, help me," over and over again. Kathy said she's gonna let him in because he needs help. When the parents arrived home that night, they went into the house. Kathy and their children were laying dead in the living room with all their arms and legs cut off.
So it's an inside job?
Facts that
People
sound fake
faking
but
it?
are actually true, part 1. You can actually live the rest of your life without any food. France was still executing people with a guillotine when the first Star Wars movie came out. There are more trees on Earth than there are stars in our galaxy. Shakespeare invented the name Jessica. In Jupiter, it rains diamonds. I have to move to Jupiter right now.
Me too. Let's all move to Jupiter, but we're gonna get rich.
Random facts that will blow your mind, part 17. New York was once called New Amsterdam. The word goodbye came from God be with you. Mexico has the most external debt worldwide. Recycling a 3-foot stack of newspaper can save 1 tree.
We need to be recycling out here. Let's save the earth.
Urban legends you wish you never knew, part 3. The Catman. This isn't as innocent as it sounds. This urban legend comes from a small suburb in Norway. Legend has it that in the nearest forest, the Catman lived by himself in a hut that he built himself. You'd know if you got close to his hut because he had placed dead cats on stakes all around his area. Some of the cats you would even see pinned on the trees. He supposedly snuck into neighborhoods of the nearby towns between 2 or 3 in the morning, and he would hunt down cats, strip their skin off, eat their flesh, and sell their skin. And he would keep some of the cats to decorate his place. It is said that if you met him, you would instantly freeze from a feeling of impending doom and go insane.
because after eating all these cats, he no longer had human eyes, but instead cat eyes. Needless to say, there were several aborted missions to locate his head in the woods, but when people get to the edge of his field, that makes them want to puke from fear, and they ran away.
He was eating cats. You guys know what's going on right now, so I don't have to say that. The Catman.
Here are some events that will happen by the year 2050. The sad truth is, by the year 2050, half of the world's population will not have access to clean drinking water. Half of the Amazon rainforest will be deforested, leaving many animals without any shelter at all. In 2025, SpaceX is sending their first cargo ship to Mars. And if all goes well, they are sending their first humans to Mars by the year 2050. So who knows, maybe by 2050 we will have the first civilization on Mars. Animals are getting more dangerous and more powerful every year. Animals are evolving every day, becoming more of a threat to society. I'm not talking about your regular house pet, I'm talking about wild animals. For instance, in 2020, we found the first flying spider, your worst nightmare. You thought the coronavirus was bad? Well, by 2050, there could be more deadly viruses affecting the world than ever before. You better keep that face mask. The population will be 9.6 billion.
We don't do flying spiders out here, man. Monstersaurus? Terrorbird, oh damn, what the
All digital data in the world will get deleted in 2033, and this guy from the year 2062 just told us how. Yes, he claims to be a time traveler. They even connected him to a lie detector, and it all checked out as true. So Spotify reached out to sponsor this video to let us get to the bottom of this. His name is Peter Reuter, who says in November of 2022, patient 0 of a deadly virus started infection at JFK Airport. And in October 2023, a new variant of the virus known as Pegasus was spread to infect the entire world. Dr. Eliza Knight was assigned to Peter's case, who tells her the end of the world is closer than we think. According to him, kids being born now will be known as the IP, or interpandemic generation, who will grow up glued to a screen and fearing social contact. In 2031, we finally established our first colony on Mars, but that's nothing compared to the discovery we make there 11 years later. On March 30th, 2033, the world will experience the Great Deletion, in which an AI tasked with cleaning up junk files ends up deleting literally everything. Just imagine waking up one day with no email, no social media, your entire digital footprint is completely erased. Then, in August 2042, that colony on Mars uncovers an ancient city buried under the Martian surface, which apparently teaches us how to time travel. Ultimately, October 2053 is when the entire world crumbles for good. But then, the unexpected happens. Dr. Knight wakes up in the year 2012, where she's now the patient, and a familiar doctor is interviewing her about her mental health, which is the plot of Case 63, a Spotify original audio series which is oddly close to reality. Season 2 just dropped, so you can binge both seasons now and maybe even predict what's going to happen in our future.
3 disturbing movies.
Hey man, when you can describe it as series, bro, a lot of it, some of it was kind of mirroring, the real world, man. Watching these clips together, we have seen, man, series and movies based off real world events, but they just been hitting. So them things were adding up, man. I might have to check out season 2 of that.
Movies you've probably never seen. This first movie is insane. It's called Flowers in the Attic, and it's about 4 siblings after their father passes away. Their mom takes them to their grandma's mansion, but things quickly go wrong because their grandma locks them in the attic and won't let them leave. Eventually, they also find out their mom is hiding a terrifying secret, and because the 4 of them are growing up without ever seeing anyone else, the relationship between the siblings starts to get unusual. Next, this movie has an insane plot twist. The autopsy of Jane Doe. The body of an unknown woman is found in the corner and his son have to autopsy it. But soon they realize this woman is not normal. Basically, her internal organs are all messed up, but on the outside she looks fine. Then they find these strange symbols written inside her body. You'll never guess the plot twist. Last up, we have May. May is an outcast and the only friend she has is a doll named Susie. But one day this doll breaks and that leads her to do some pretty crazy things. Because now she's determined to make herself a new friend. Follow for more.
Phone numbers you should never call.
Crazy plots.
This is the first phone number. You belong to the Derry Police Department. When you call this number, policeman will reply, tell you about some kids that went missing, but then Pennywise kills him and leaves you a disturbing message. This is the second phone number. When you call this number, a young woman will reply, with a desperate voice will cry, Mommy, I'm going to die, I'm at the club, you need to come and get me. We don't know where it comes from, but it is said that this woman was kidnapped and killed by a known murderer.
The most historic
I ain't calling those
case
numbers.
that has ever taken place in DC history is probably one that you have never even heard of. One of the scariest cases that I've read in a long time. This is the very true story of the Freeway Phantom. In the 1970s, there was a man in Washington, D.C. who people named the Freeway Phantom because he had one very specific MO. He was only going after young black girls and women. He was abducting them off the street, and then their bodies would be found here, left and positioned right at the freeway. Actually, in the investigation, they profiled him as someone who was a textbook psychopath. He was repeatedly calling the families after he had abducted these girls, and he was breathing into the phone, and then he would say something like, I just killed your daughter, and then hang up. Even left a handwritten note with the body of one of his victims. If you want the full story on this, we are going to cover it on the show. Mysteriously, in the 90s, all the records on the case vanished.
So they never caught him? That's a different type of man, freaking man that's calling him and leaving notes after you doing that. Yeah, he definitely was a psychopath.
These are the creepiest unsolved photo mysteries. The Baltic Sea anomaly is known for being one of the most famous underwater mysteries on Earth. This sonar image from 2011 shows a large structure located at the bottom of the ocean. And if you're a Star Wars fan, it may look a little familiar to you. Many people believe that it could be a sunken UFO, or an ancient man-made structure that was lost to history. That, or Han Solo decided to move there and live his life in peace. Next, in 2016, a woman named Linda sent Belfast Live a disturbing photo that was taken from the year 1990. The photo shows a group of women in a factory with their arms crossed. One of these women was Linda's grandmother, Ellen Donnelly, and if you look closely at her shoulder, you can see a disembodied hand hovering over her. The photo quickly spread through the media, even making it to Snopes where they were unable to debunk it. So always look over your shoulder. And finally, many people believe that the Madonna, or the White Lady, was caught on camera back in 1991 at the Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. On this night, Judy Huff Fells decided to take a stroll in one of the most haunted cemeteries in America, along with the local Ghost Research Society, when they felt an odd presence nearby. And when she took out her infrared camera and snapped a photo, she could see a woman sitting on a stone. And this is why you shouldn't wander around a cemetery at night.
Chilling last photos of people before they went missing, part 1. Lars Mittank. Lars Mittank was a German backpacker travelling in Bulgaria in July 2014. While there, he supposedly took part in an altercation that resulted in a busted eardrum. His family and friends were worried after receiving cryptic texts from him saying he was being followed by 4 men. This image right here is from security camera footage which shows Lars sprinting out of the airport without his luggage. And the chilling last photo before he went missing is this one right here. After supposedly hopping a fence and running into the woods, Lars has not been seen since.
Welcome to Creep Time on TikTok with Silas. Today we are covering the disappearance of Maura Murray. Maura is a 21-year-old college student studying nursing in Massachusetts in the year 2004. On February 9th, she sends an email to school letting them know she'll be gone for a week due to a family death. But no one in her family had died. Records that were obtained from her computer would show an earlier search on MapQuest for directions to Burlington, Vermont. At 3:40 p.m. on the same day, she would withdraw all of her money from a local ATM. At around 4 or 5 p.m., she takes off on this trip, having told no one, and just starts traveling up Interstate 91 North. Around 7:27 p.m., Maura's car is crashed on a sharp, snowy turn along Route 112 in New Hampshire, and a neighbor would call the police. Another driver who's returning home also passes her and offers to call for help. She pleads with him not to and insists that she's already called AAA, but phone records would later show that she never called AAA that night. The man carries on home, but decides to call 911 anyway. Between 7:27 and the police arriving at 7:46, Maura is gone. The car is found completely abandoned, and she's taken her cell phone and her credit cards, none of which have ever shown a record of being used since that night. That driver would be the last verified sighting of Maura. A witness would later come forward to report seeing a young person dressed in dark clothing traveling very quickly by foot around 8:30 p.m., roughly 4 to 5 miles up Route 112 on the same night. But it was never confirmed if this was Maura. It's been over 17 years since the disappearance, and the case has never been solved.
Man, could you guys imagine that just one day walking into the night and just
These
gone
two dirty
disappearing?
history facts that I guarantee you were never taught. And if you ever told your history teacher any of these, they definitely go, excuse me, what the fuck? The first toy was invented by Cleopatra. However, to actually make it work, she put angry bees inside of it. You know, so they would go... I can't lie, don't think that would pass Dragon's Den. Next up, the ancient Romans used stale urine as mouthwash. Cool, but why? We actually know that Benjamin Franklin had a MILF fetish. A letter that he wrote back in the day was actually found and confirmed this. However, the detail he went into within this letter, we're not gonna go there. There is a sign in Pompeii next to the fountain that translates to please don't shit in the fountain. All I can think is how many times did that have to happen for a sign to become necessary? And finally, cornflakes were invented to stop what rhymes with fastitation. It was believed that doing this to yourself was a big no-no. They thought stale foods helped fight this urge. Thus, cornflakes. Anywho. Elon!
That's the birth of cornflakes, bro, to fight. you know what he meant to say, see. They thought stale food was gonna stop it? I don't think it did.
3 disturbing movies on Netflix you need to watch. This first movie is insane. It's called Secret Obsession, and it's about a woman named Jennifer who gets in a car accident and loses all her memories. In the hospital, a man shows up claiming that he's her husband. But as soon as they go home, Jennifer realizes something is wrong. Because at night, all the doors are locked so she can't leave. And the pictures of them together are photoshopped. So who's this man pretending to be her husband? And what really happened to her? Next up, there's no other movie like this. It's called Annihilation. Lena is a biologist who joins a secret mission into an area called the Shimmer, a mysterious place that mutates the DNA of everything inside it. Everyone who's ever went in there disappeared, except her husband who went missing for a year then randomly showed up. But something is wrong with him, and Lena is determined to go into the Shimmer herself and find out the truth. Last up, we have Apostle. This is about a man who finds out his sister is being held hostage at a religious cult. So he goes to the island where the cult is to try to rescue her, but he would never expect what he would find there. Follow for more.
Some sound like some crazy ass plot twist, man. Have you guys watched any of those movies? Edit. Call it like we see it, man. If you see any edits, y'all call them out down below. You help each other out, seekers.
Behind The Wizard of Oz, the original actor who played the Tin Man had to quit filming after only 10 days because he was dying from aluminum poisoning. The makeup they were using for the Tin Man was actually real aluminum which absorbed through his skin and into his lungs. He then suffered with respiratory problems for the rest of his life. During the poppy field scene, the falling snow looks beautiful, but in reality, the cast was actually being dusted and poisoned. The snow that was used in this scene was actually asbestos, a known carcinogen. The lion costume that the Cowardly Lion wears was made out of a real lion hide, which was so hot and heavy that he would often faint from the heat. In this scene, the Wicked Witch of the West was supposed to disappear into a trapdoor underneath the set as flames shot up from beneath. When the flames erupted too soon, the actress's hat and broom caught on fire. She suffered 2nd and 3rd degree burns all over her body and spent 6 weeks in the hospital. The filming process was a nightmare for Judy Garland, who played Dorothy. They required her to lose 12 pounds on a diet that consisted of pills and very little food. And studio executives would refer to her as the fat little pig with pigtails behind her back. And she was also given adrenaline shots so that she could stay awake, sometimes up to 72 hours in a row. And the actor who played the Scarecrow was left with permanent scars all over his face from the makeup and prosthetics he had to wear. And finally, the dog Toto actually made more money daily than the Munchkin actors made for the entire movie.
Whatever you do,
That's a cursed movie, man.
In 2014, 2 young girls went hiking in Panama. Now they were right out in the wilderness, camping, hiking up these big mountains. I don't know why just Panama do that, but they never returned back. These right here are the last photos that were taken of the pair. You can see in all the photos, the pair appeared to be having a nice time, taking some normal photos as you would. But then it cut out. Nothing. Radio silence for, well, an entire week. 7 days later, between 1 a.m. 4 a.m. These photos found on the pair's phone just containing very weird, abstract photos, weird stuff. But then it got worse. When authorities were searching through the photos, they found a photo of Lizanne, who was one of the girls. And in this photo, someone was holding her head, and there was blood in her hair. Now, what does it mean? We don't really know. 2 months later, they discovered something else. They discovered a pelvis and a foot. And after extensive tests, they discovered that the DNA on here matched that of the girl. They went from having a nice time, taking great photos, to these extremely disturbing photos that no one knows what they are, to being unalive clearly, but still the full story remains to be unknown. What the hell happened?
please.
Careful when you be
Computer Viruses
hiking.
Part 4. This one is called horrorbob.exe, and yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So don't watch this if you get scared easily. So let's open this thing up and we get the usual dialogue box. This Trojan is no joke. Do you want to run it? That's what we do out here. First things first, computer restarts. Nothing new here. On boot up, we get stage 1. Background changes to this dripping blood, and this ain't even the tip of the iceberg. Wait a few seconds and you get stage 2. You guessed it. This creepy, crusty SpongeBob window opens up, and it says, SpongeBob is watching you. And also this other pop-up box over here. Let's see what it says. Your Windows has been affected by SpongeBob Horror Trojan 2.0. You cannot delete this Trojan, but you have 2 minutes to use your system. After 2 minutes, your PC will crash with an RSOD, which is a red screen of death. Below that, you got the rules. Pause if you want to read them. Alright, this is where the fun begins. Stage 3. Windows Media Player opens, playing this creepy background music called Cling Clang. Just listen to this.
Hell no,
Then we get stage 4. Inverted colors start flashing as the music continues. Moving your mouse causes this glitch effect, which leads to stage 5. The screen starts to melt.
Yeah, throw that PC out. It's cooked.
Yeah, this is nightmare fuel right here. Oh, another pop-up. Now you have 1 last minute to use your system. Okay, SpongeBob really ain't messing around, huh? Stage 6, screen shrinks like you're getting hypnotized in Get Out. Keeps getting smaller and smaller until SpongeBob pops back out to the front again. You can move the window around, but it won't get you far. Strap in, because you're in for a ride. Stage 6.5, screen just melts again for a bit. Oh, then we're here with our final warning. Last 5 seconds to use your system. Okay, Sponge, let's see what you got. It has come. Time over. SpongeBob will now crash your PC forever. Okay, behold stage 7. Screen fills up with a million red X's as the music fades away.
Yeah, it's over.
And finally, reboot. Computer restarts and we're met with a red screen of death, which doesn't even exist on Windows. No matter how many times you reboot now, this is all you'll ever see. Your PC ran into a problem that it couldn't handle and now it needs to restart. Stop code SpongeBob is watching you? Never heard of that one before. Game, set, match. This computer is dust for life, and yeah, I'm definitely going to be checking my closet before I sleep now.
It's cooked, bro. And these vibes is on the computer. You gotta watch. You click on the wrong link. Somebody try to send you something, bro, spam, bro. It will take over your whole computer, man. That's why I never click on the link I don't know. It ain't worth it.
This is a true horrifying story of the tomb of Tutankhamun. I spoke about black magic in many of my episodes. I revealed the terror and the dangers behind its rituals, such as the books Al-Ghazali and Shams al-Ma'arif, the cursed houses, the buried spells, and a lot more. However, the age of when black magic was the biggest, the strongest, and the most dangerous was the age of the pharaohs in ancient Egypt. Black magic back then was nothing compared to what it is today. Allahu A'lam, but from the stories I've heard, I even believe that the jinns were a lot more powerful than what they are today. In Surah Taha, a chapter in the Quran, it talked about black magic and how it was so strange. Black magicians would use jinns to deceive people. They used to throw their ropes on the ground and they would move like snakes. All of these things were made by jinns back in the day of Prophet Musa. Many jinns used to worship these kings, and they would provide most of their energies to execute their demands. Tutankhamun is the last of them. He was the last pharaoh of the royal family at the end of the 18th dynasty. These kings were worshipped by jinns, and when they died, their tombs were still protected by jinns. Many people have died trying to open their tombs years after their death. And the reason behind it is these tombs are guarded by black magic. If you go near an untouched tomb from ancient Egypt, you will most probably die before cracking it open. During the grand opening of Tutankhamun's tomb, 13 people have died soon after the ceremony. The archaeologist Howard Carter was the lucky one that opened his tomb. But of course, he died as well, a few years after that. Now, Tutankhamun died more than 3,000 years ago. A lot of people tried to open that tomb because it carried a lot of treasure. The tomb itself was made of gold, and we have reports of people that died only from the 20th century from opening this tomb. But just imagine how many people have died trying to open this tomb throughout these 3,000 years. That's how strong the curse is. The jinns have protected his grave for thousands of years.
That face sounds like some black magic, bro. Or dark magic, whatever they call it.
Signs that you or your friends are serial killers. Number 1, antisocial behavior. Number 2, setting things on fire. It doesn't have to be houses. Number 3, torturing animals. Number 4, having a troubled family history and substance abuse. Number 5, they're pretty smart but cannot keep a job. Do you know anyone that could be a serial killer?
Here's some of the most random fun facts you will ever hear in your life. Armadillo shells are actually bulletproof. One time a man was hospitalized when he shot at an armadillo and the bullet ricocheted off the shell and hit him instead. There's only one letter in the entire alphabet that isn't in any US state name, and that letter is Q. There's not a single state with the letter Q in its name.
Really?
71% of the earth is covered in water, and humans can only use 0.007% of that water. 2.5% of the total water is fresh water, and only 1% of that is actually accessible. The bumblebee bat is the smallest mammal in the entire world. These things can rest on your fingertips and you might not even know because they weigh 0.05 to 0.07 ounces. Ostriches are the world's largest and heaviest living bird. It's why they can't fly, but they are built for running. And they can reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, and they can pretty easily coast at 30 miles per hour. The longest English word is 189,819,000 letters long. It's a protein and its nickname is titin, and it would take around 3.5 hours to say the word out loud.
The hell?
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, 2 men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Cicerio was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
This mother hits the...
Man, what is up, man? These freak accidents, bro. Like, it really sounded like something out of a comic book, man. You know, something traumatic happens to them. They wake up with new abilities or powers or something like that. Can't believe those stories, man. Are real. We're gonna have to check them out, see if we can find any more.
Sticky notes in her daughter's sock to be saved from captivity. This 28-year-old mother and 2 kids, 7-year-old daughter and 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, were held captive by a man named Brandon Tusland. This all started in January 2021 when the father of the 2 kids, Eli Dominguez, passed away from pneumonia. The mother was happily married to Eli, but since his death, she began to struggle financially. That's when Eli's former friend, Brandon, offered to support her and her 2 kids. In March 2021, the mother and 2 kids moved into Brandon's home, and that's when he became controlling and abusive. He alienated her from her family, made her quit her job, and confiscated her phone. He put locks on the bedroom doorknobs, installed motion sensors, and duct taped her to the bed. She was also handcuffed when she rode in the car with him. But one day, the mother spotted a sticky notepad and a pen in his car, and that's when she began a weeks-long plan to seek help. The mother found the perfect chance to put a sticky note in her daughter's sock, and on February 22nd at 8:40 a.m., the 7-year-old girl went to school and gave the sticky note to her teacher. The note said that her mother was being held against her will and she needed help right away. School officials notified authorities and Brandon was arrested right away. But it doesn't end there. This is when things get super disturbing. Brandon kept her kids away from her most of the time, and especially when she was locked up. And she actually had not seen her 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, since December 11th. and she suspected he was dead. When the mother lost full contact with her son, she knew she had to find a way out to save her and her daughter. When police searched his house, they found the remains of 4-year-old Mason Dominguez in his freezer in his garage.
Just a dark case seekers, man. She was smart.
Tasteophobia. Thalassophobia.
Level 1. It's good. I'm still good right now. It's kind of scary. Could you imagine being out there? Yeah, I can't do that. Damn.
These toy designers messed up big time. I'm pretty sure there was a better spot to put this straw on Buzz Lightyear. Come on. And I've never seen a duck with 4 legs before. Have you? I poop glitter. But why is this even a toy? And why this designer made Harry Potter blue? I'll never understand. And this looks like a normal cute horse, right? Well, it actually has a Barbie head as the tail. I am a sweet baby. Let's have fun together. Yeah, you don't look too sweet. And
What
I think
the
there's
hell?
something up with this Woody doll. And I'm not sure what's going on with this baby's eye.
What the hell is wrong with those toy designers, man? They weren't thinking.
Here are some of the rarest human mutations that actually exist. Firstly, every 1 in 1,000 people have a perfect 10 face, meaning that all of their features fit perfectly within these lines. Now, every 1 in 107 people experience something called mirror touch. It's where you feel the sensation of touch in the same or opposite body part when you see somebody else being touched. Now, 4% of people have something known as sweaty palm syndrome. I'm sure you can guess what that is. It's where your palms sweat when you're not even being active. And the rarest mutation is werewolf syndrome. This is where you have excessive hair growth all over your body, and only 50 people worldwide have this.
This is Tragedy by the Sea.
Werewolf syndrome. Interesting.
Photos of all time. Okay, so first glance at this photo, you just think it's a couple arguing at the beach, right? But believe it or not, this photo might have the most unsettling and disturbing backstory ever. On the morning of April 2nd, 1954, Los Angeles Times photographer named John Gaunt, who was pictured in the middle of this photo, was relaxing on his front yard of his beachfront house when he heard a neighbor shout, "Something's happening on the beach." He then instinctively grabbed his camera and rushed over to see the horrified couple clutching each other on the beach. On the shore stood a young couple named Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, and their body language made John's stomach turn. He realized that someone must be lost, and he then took a photograph from 200 yards away. Only then did he learn that just moments before, the couple's 19-month-old son Michael, who had been playing in the yard, had wandered down to the beach and crawled into the violent waters while they weren't looking.
Man.
Despite the back and forth efforts by the parents, there was nothing they can do but just wait. Unfortunately, later that day, the child's dead body was washed up about a mile away on the beach. And this photo, titled Tragedy by the Sea, appeared on the front page of the Times the very next day. John Gaunt then won the 1955 Pulitzer Prize Award, calling the photo poignant and profoundly moving. But he also received heavy criticism for capitalizing on the family's tragedy for his photo opportunity. But now take a look at this photo, knowing everything you do, and tell me it's not one of the saddest and most disturbing photos ever.
The darkest conspiracy theories. The Teletubbies theory. The theory says that the show is inspired by historic events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility. Each Teletubby is inspired by a kid that was experimented on. Lola was based on a child who had facial disfigurement and had to smile all the time. Tinky Winky was based on a deaf child who was tied to a fence outside and suffered frostbite. Gypsy was inspired by a child who was constantly sick and ended up lying in his own puke. And Poe was based on a child who fell into fire, which is recognizable by his color is red.
This 14-year-old boy
adds up.
His 83-year-old neighbor. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised. On August 29th of 2018, 14-year-old Tyrone Harvin told his 83-year-old neighbor, Dorothy May Neal, that he would help her with some
walking into her apartment, he made sure to grab a handful of condoms. Tyrone did help Dorothy with some chores before attacking her with a lamp. After that, Tyrone S.A.'d her, he fled her apartment, and he left her seriously injured on the floor and naked. Neighbors had asked police to do a welfare check on Dorothy since they hadn't seen her around for a couple of days. When officers showed up at her apartment, they noticed dried blood on her doorknob, and that's when they saw Dorothy lying naked on the floor. She was then taken to the University of Maryland Hospital Trauma Unit and unfortunately passed away that next day. When officers were at Dorothy's home, they noticed that there was several condom wrappers around her body as well as used condoms. A broken, bloodied lamp was also found by officers. Dorothy's autopsy revealed that she suffered extensive trauma to her head and genitals. There was DNA on Dorothy's body and in those condoms, and that DNA matched up to Tyrone. Despite all of the evidence, Tyrone's mom stood by his side and truly believed that he would never do something like this. On June 9th of 2022, Tyrone was convicted on first-degree murder, first-degree SA, and use of a deadly weapon. Tyrone was also sentenced to life in prison.
Oh no.
All life over, there you
No,
go.
no, 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 silly. To dry it. No, no, no. But it exploded. And they were both found dead.
Here's some
Sounds like
random
an
things
edit.
we all did as kids. Who remembers pouring glue all over their hand and peeling it off? How satisfying was that?
I
And we
remember that.
definitely have all gotten our fingers stuck in one of these at least one time. Who
True.
remembers feeling like the coolest kid with a pencil this small? And we all ran our fingers along these grooves at school. Admit it, we all stabbed our eraser with our pencil like this. And we definitely all unraveled the design of these pencils. And we all dove to the bottom of the pool to pick up these rings. Who remembers using these blocks in school? And we definitely all tried pushing down all of the colors at one time.
Did any of you guys do that, Seekers, in school? I remember
It's not
that.
something that's terribly new, but have you heard about the woman that is haunting AI pictures? This is the face, and nobody can explain why she keeps showing up in AI images. If you look at her, she's not really general. I mean, there are specific characteristics here that are consistent. Again, nobody knows which prompts are generating this woman. Nobody knows why her face continues to appear in different models. So this has opened up one of my favorite questions about the idea that AI pictures can be haunted. And don't forget, if things like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check out the podcast.
War generals really to study.
Wow.
Coyote managed to finesse its two biggest enemies, and all they had to do was wait and play the long game. So once upon a time, humanity saw this canyon puppy and decided it was on site ever since. America started murking coyotes like they were made out of oil. Mark Twain hated it so much, he wrote a 3-page MLA format essay on why coyotes deserve nothing. If you thought Kendrick hated Drake, that's nothing on the abhorrence this man had for a travel-sized wolf. So much that it literally inspired a pain magnet of a Looney Tune. Now here's the first problem of beefing with coyotes. Coyotes are basically canine cockroaches. The harder you try to murk them, the harder they work to birth them. Apparently they even have this roll call where a female will call out and all the coyotes in an area will answer. And if she doesn't hear a lot of yotes back, it'll actually trigger her body to make more pups. Now op number 2, wolves don't mess with coyotes at all. Like to a homicidal level. To the point where wolves will hard bully coyotes in the same area. Now here's where the get back happened. While we were out here spam killing coyotes, we were also at war with wolves. Except getting generationally stepped on by wolves made coyotes that much more adaptable. So while the big bad wolf was getting smoked, coyotes were out here Euro-stepping extinction. And when wolves got packed up in the US, for coyotes it was free real estate. So not only did we accidentally become coyote allies, the wolf dating pool got so low, eventually they started doing the unspeakable with the ops to survive, leading to the coy wolf. It's exactly what it sounds like. Remember, wolves hate coyotes more than anything. So just like that, coyotes managed to outcompete their biggest enemy and also colonize their bloodline. And with coyotes found in every state that isn't Hawaii, they basically humbled humanity too. And that's why I rock with them. They're alive out of spite, and I respect that.
Man. A merge between coyote and wolf, both the ops joining together, man. All because of us. Crazy story in Animal Kingdom history.
Unexpected emergency alert systems in different countries. Firstly, if you don't know, countries have different emergency alert systems. The one I'm used to is America's that sounds like this.
Yup.
But on the other hand, we have the country of Barbados, which honestly sounds like club music. Next is Japan, which to me isn't that scary, it just sounds like a notification. Now, one that I would genuinely be terrified by is Ireland's. Just imagine waking up to this. Finally, you know, I'm kind of glad that America's emergency alarm isn't too scary because Denmark is on another level.
Nightmarish facts about your body that you probably shouldn't think about. Due to the brain's lack of pain receptors, brain surgery is often performed while the patient is awake and talking. And in some cases of brain surgery, the surgeon will pull your face forward like a banana. Men's nipples can be stimulated enough to produce milk. Once you turn 30 years old, you can expect to lose half an inch every 10 years. When you developed in the womb, your anus was formed before anything else. So at one point, you were nothing but an asshole. The acid in your body is strong enough to dissolve razor blades, which is why your stomach is in a constant battle to not digest itself. When you get a sunburn, your cells are dying to avoid becoming cancerous. A sneeze can blow out of your nose at over 100 miles an hour. So next time, be careful, because it's actually possible to break a rib simply by sneezing. If you've ever been on a roller coaster and feel like your heartbeat is in your mouth, it isn't your imagination. Your organs are actually moving around inside your body.
You guys know some freaking creepy facts? I think the one that got to me is that we have enough stomach acid to freaking burn, like I said, the razor blade, bro. And they were literally born in that freaking butthole, bro. I never knew that was the first thing that formed, man. So we was all, I guess the asshole was out of that life. Edit. Like I said, man, if you guys see any edits, man, call them out as well, bro. We all need to help each other, man, this community.
Adult jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Judy! Want a party with a real bug? Yeah! Oh, lady, come like lava! Yeah!
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, flyboy? Huh?
Right! She's a god!
Knowledge you wish you didn't know, Gandhi was racist and sexist. He kept a bunch of underage girls with him all the time. He would bathe with them, get full-body massages from them, and sleep naked with them in order to test himself. He also thought women were responsible for their own sexual assaults, and was totally cool with fathers killing their own daughters after they had been sexually assaulted for family honor.
Gandhi Doc origins confirmed. What?
Lauren was shot 15 times, and 8 of those shots were fatal. Emergency personnel arrived at the scene, as well as local neighbors, so that they could assist. At that point, no one had told Lauren's parents that she had been shot. Lauren's mom, Bianca, was unaware of what was going on, and was just doing what she normally did, waiting at home for Lauren to arrive. But then, one of her friends pulled up to her house, asking if Lauren was home yet. Her mom was confused about this question, and responded and said, "No, why?" And the friend, in a panic, said, "Kids are down," and then left. So her mom, Bianca, didn't hesitate or even let her dad, Vern, know what she was doing, and she just booked it out the front door to make sure that it wasn't her child that was, quote, down. Lauren's dad, Vern, could tell that something was wrong, because Bianca wasn't the kind of person to just jump up, flee the house without saying anything or indicating what was wrong. So he knew something was up. So he immediately hopped in his truck and he followed her. There were tons of police cars, ambulances, people, and now crime scene tape blocking the area off. So Bianca was just looking around in a complete panic, trying to see if Lauren was there, while simultaneously trying to assess the situation and come to terms with what was going on, and that is when she laid eyes on Lauren. In that moment, her worst fears realized, and her worst nightmares come true, seeing her daughter on the ground, appearing to have been shot.
Okay, this is getting creepy. Without finding out when Doomsday fish washed up dead in San Diego, just 2 days before California was rattled by that 4.6 magnitude earthquake. I mean, come on. Now for anyone that doesn't know, we've spoken about this before, but according to Japanese mythology, the oarfish, which is very rarely seen by humans, because they swim at depths of roughly 200 to 1,000 meters, well, is said to intentionally rise to the surface and beach themselves ahead of an impending earthquake, hence the name. And I made a video earlier this year when one was spotted before the Japan earthquake, and now again for this one. So,
off. Now remember, there is no scientific evidence that has proven a correlation between them washing up and earthquakes. So as of right now, all we can say is just it's a freaky coincidence.
You guys believe that, man? It's 2 out of 2 though. He did one early this year in the fish and that freaking earthquake happened, and another one happened as well. So he's 2 for 2 confirmed, man. It's starting to not seem like a coincidence anymore, Seekers.
Attractions in the World Part 2. Today we're going to be talking about the 17th door. This attraction is so much different than the rest because actors are allowed to touch you. There's also a slight possibility that you'll get your hair cut here, which makes things like 100 times worse. Put you through various levels and rooms that just kind of keep getting worse. The room that you're seeing here actually turns and spins while you're in it. It's really trippy, especially if you don't know it's coming. You can watch a walkthrough of this place online. A lot of commenters were saying that this doesn't do the place justice. Basically, they were holding back a little for the people recording, supposedly. Oh yeah, and here's their lovely little barber shop. I wouldn't go here, but let me know if you would.
I'm never going to any of those freaking haunted houses, bro. They're too extreme for my
Beetlejuice
taste.
is not going to try to marry Jenna Ortega's character in the sequel. I feel like the trailers make it abundantly clear that he's trying to get back with Lydia again. First thing he does when he sees her is he grabs her and he says, "I'm gonna make you so happy." He even has a picture of Lydia on his desk, and then he says, "Now's my chance." The trailer kind of implies that Lydia's husband dies at the beginning of the movie, so maybe the movie is about Beetlejuice trying to be a father to Jenna Ortega's character. He puts down the newspaper and it says obituary, so he probably found out someone died and he thought, now is my time. Let me have another chance with Lydia. You can even see in the trailer that he's at the altar with Lydia. You can also see a wedding cake in the chapel, and you see that this is Lydia with the red dress from the first movie. Like, the first wedding outfit is on the wedding cake. And we even see her in a chapel in the red dress. Because I know that Jenna Ortega is wearing a white dress here, but if she was marrying Beetlejuice, it would be this white dress. Also, let's be honest, like, it's 2024. I think they realized that they kind of made him look like a creep in the old movie and that society doesn't like that anymore, or they're not okay with that. And they acknowledge that in the musical. There's a whole song about how Lydia's marrying a creepy old guy and she's an underage bride. Also, this is a fan-made photo. But I know they added this character, I think her name's Dolores, that's gonna be Beetlejuice's wife. I can't wait for this movie though. Let me know your thoughts and follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
I never watched the first Beetlejuice, guys, so tell me down below, man. Should I check that out? They sound like a creep trying to marry an underage girl. I don't think they're doing that in the second Beetlejuice.
What did Smith really mean to tell us?
Y'all, we out here on vacation in the Bahamas. Another beautiful day. Check it out. Check it out. Boom. I want to talk to y'all for a minute about the power of perception. You see, there's a lot that goes in to being a hot social media content provider. For instance, y'all think I got time to go on vacation? No. I got social to do. Come on, man, this is blue screen. In fact, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I haven't looked like this good in years. I've been totally computer generated since like the 90s. You know what? This ain't even real blue screen. It's 2019, y'all. Nothing's real.
Tell me.
The whole message is just freaking computer generated, man. That's really scary. It shows you how far technology has come, and you can literally just make anything, bro, on the internet. Location, your face, whole bodies. Oh, that's trippy.
Do you believe was Disney trying to tell us something? Crazy, right? Some things are just an optical illusion, right? Well, is this an optical illusion? Look at that and tell me you don't know what that is. Go ahead and tell me that confidently and mean it. Because you know darn well what that is. You can see it. No, that's not a carving. That's a petrified animal from the days of old.
Do you see this?
Yes.
Do you see this?
Yep.
It's freaking nature. And it's freaking awesome.
Yes, it is. Not don't think science can properly explain how these animals were petrified so quickly to where they were able to preserve their form through all these years. And you know, that really got me thinking. There's plenty of statues on this earth that are thousands of years old. Now, what if they were petrified beings? Now, I know, it's just a thought. And yeah, I can't wait for the Mount Rushmore jokes. And you can joke all you want, but I promise you truth is stranger than fiction.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
Need to clean our phones, bro.
Even
ASAP.
the actor that plays Art the Clown vomited from how gross Terrifier 3 is about to be. In fact, there were a lot of really big production companies that wanted to be involved in making Terrifier 3. The creator ended up turning it down because he didn't want to have less gore and tone down certain scenes. To stick it to these companies, he said, we're gonna make it even worse. He even said that they're gonna make the bedroom scene from the last movie look like a little kid thing. Like, that is how intense this movie is going to be. That is the level that we're about to be on. It's supposedly an unwritten rule that you're not supposed to do anything to kids. Like when bad things happened to Georgie and it was like such a game changer, and so many people were like really upset that they would kid in a film. And I don't know about you, but I'm thinking of so many movies where they don't follow that rule. But they are not about to hold back. I don't understand how they can do like the bedroom scene and then be able to put that in the movie theater. The scene took 3 years to make, and it was so intense that people were either vomiting or walking out of the theater. But it was insane. It was so like an awakening. Terrifier the franchise is just known for upsetting the mainstream and pushing boundaries in horror, which I love. But one thing is certain, I absolutely cannot wait for this film.
Looks like Terrifier 3 is going to be pushing the limit. Again, man. I'm kind of not big into horror, so just going to have to read the reviews about it. See if it lives up, I guess, to that hype. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, comment down below, man. Like I said, even if it's just to say hi, guys, man, it helps us, gonna push us into the algorithm, man. Like I said, we're getting there day by day, bro. So I really appreciate the support. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Follow me on my social medias as well, so we always stay connected. You guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.